Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. On today's episode, we're going to check out an incredibly detailed dream reef tank build in progress. All right, thank you for joining me on yet another episode of Parker's Reefs. And as touched on in the intro, today we're going to go visit Daniel and his young lad Lucas and check out his dream reef tank build to date. Now, I say to date because, believe it or not, this tank is not actually wet yet, but there is so much information and so much detail that's gone into this dream build that it is absolutely worthy of its own video. In fact, I've been hassling Daniel for a little while now to let me come over and film because I know there is heaps of stuff that all of you guys are going to get out of this video. Now, just to add to the mix, Daniel did recently move down into this house and has gone on a full renovation of the place whilst building this dream reef tank, which has afforded him quite a bit of time to go through each and every step, which for you and I means we get to have the ability to have a look at a tank that's had heaps of thought and process go into this build, which is really, really beneficial because a lot of us jump into these builds quite quickly and then ponder what we would have done differently years to come. So without any further ado, let's go see Daniel and also Lucas and check out this beautiful build in the works. All right, we are here at Daniel's place. He's going to take us through what is looking like it's going to be an incredible dream reef tank build. Firstly, thank you for having me here on a weekend. I know it's difficult to find time as it is, but you've taken time out of your family time to let us come in here with a camera rolling to check out your tank, so I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to hear all about this build because this is looking like something spectacular. Firstly, can you tell us, surely this is not your first reef tank. You've been in the game for a little while, I imagine?
Yeah, Sam, and thanks for coming out. I'm a big follower of your YouTube channel.
Awesome.
It's really, really good. Yeah, so my reefing journey, I reckon, started about probably 4 years ago back in Melbourne.
Yes.
So we're the typical family that sort of moved into regional Victoria.
For sure.
From Melbourne. Life started off with a Aqua One 215 mini reef,
yep,
which never had water in it.
Okay.
I basically bought it and set it up in the lounge room and decided that it's way too small.
So you were just 6 months ahead of the game. Everyone else decides that once it's had water for a few months.
Yeah, that's right. So then I ended up buying a 400 litre tank, which sits opposite this one.
Yes, yes. This is the temporary system over here right now.
Yeah. It's not looking the best at the moment, but it's I guess the focus has been on this tank rather than that one.
Of course, I mean, so you've moved down here. You did have this tank over here set up in Melbourne.
In Melbourne, yeah.
And then you've moved that tank down and you've built this house, is that correct?
We're pretty much renovating it. So we bought it, it's about 12 years old, but we bought it and we've been renovating it ever since, and that's why this project's taking way too long.
No, the projects to this detail always are going to take some time, and when you've got plenty of other things going on and you've incorporated the tank into the house the way you have, like the way a peninsula should be, it's always going to take some time. And obviously, as you say, your focus, we're all trapped by finite amount of time, and when you're trying to build a big monster high-end tank like this, it's going to take all that spare time. But that's incredible. So that's a pretty short time frame to start off with a tank that never got wet to one that definitely did get wet, and I'll get some B-roll footage of that tank in a minute. That it looks great, despite you saying that it's obviously not getting the attention that you'd like to give it. And now you've just jumped in the deep end of this monster build. Can you tell us some of just, maybe the dimensions or even some of what led you to that? So the 4 foot or the 215 was it? What made you go, you know what? We're moving. We're coming down here. I want to build this high-end peninsula system.
Just the inspiration from like tanks like yours, the display tanks in Aquamarine, Aquaristic. I think their entry tank is probably been the biggest inspiration here, including the branch scape.
Yes.
I just love that tank. I love the original scape. I love the new scape they've got, but so I've tried to emulate that as well. Why did I go custom? I guess, this was a really hard decision in the early days to go either custom or, just buy an off-the-shelf cade. It was the time where white was being talked about in terms of cabinetry. That was one of the conditions the wife had, that it had to be white.
We've got to appease all members of the family.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, ideally, the dimensions of the tank, it's 1900 long.
Yes.
It's 800 wide and it's 700 high.
Yeah, so that's a decent sized tank.
Yeah, so I think it's about 1,000 litres a tank, and then the sump itself will be about probably 200, 250 litres, I think. A Cade 1800 could have gone here nicely. I think one of the things that was really important to me, and I did have a chat to you about it, was the height of the tank. I don't like looking down on a tank, and our family's relatively tall.
Yes.
And we don't have great backs, so looking down on a tank is always a challenge. But I wanted something at high height that was really, really a feature of the room and part of the furniture, really.
And I mean, where it's located, this is your front door there.
Yeah.
You walk in, this sort of separates off Lucas's bedroom and off into the garage, and just then where I'm standing right now is in this sort of your open plan living space. It's a huge feature of the house, and utilising that peninsula shape to its maximum just fits the bill perfectly. Plus, as you said, you and I are alike in that I would trade anything in for height on a tank. People say it makes it more difficult to work on. My answer to that is I look at the tank a heck of a lot more than I work on it. And I don't want to compromise how I look on it so that every now and then when I'm working on it, it's a fraction easier. Not a chance. I'll stand on a ladder or a chair to be able to reach the bottom. I've got no qualms of that whatsoever. And the presence of this system here, I don't think could have been done any better. So, and it's not even full of water yet. Can't imagine when it's full of life.
Maybe a bit bigger. Like the guy that built the tank for me, Robert, Aqua Professional.
Yes.
When he delivered it, he said the one thing you're going to regret is not going longer and bigger. And now that the scape's in there, I kind of agree with that. But this was the happy medium, and like I had to do a lot of engineering modifications to the floor.
Yes.
There's about 60 hand mixed concrete bags under the floor to support the tank, as well as the existing footings.
Yes.
There's a whole heap of F17 engineered beams in there as well to hold it up because we're on footing. So that's really where life began, and that's why the tank size sort of emulates what I could work with underneath the floor. That's
a huge undertaking that a lot of people don't really think about when they're looking at systems this big. That so you're not on a slab here. You're on footings, and this system's probably going to weigh 2.5, 3 tons, something like that, I'm guessing. Which, it's spread out over a bit of weight, or a bit of space, but it's still a lot of weight that the traditional footings were not built to handle, really. Exactly. And you're putting a lot of work into this house. You obviously, you're not just putting lipstick on it to sell it. You're obviously setting this up as the family home. You want it to hold strong for a long time. So you have to rip the floor up and put hand mixed cement down in there to reinforce it, put engineered beams in. Wow.
Pretty much. So we had to cut the floor up. I've got pictures of that too, but we had to cut the floor up because that was the easiest way to access it, because I've only got like this much room under the house. And I
don't like crawl spaces, no.
Nah. So basically we dug the holes, filled them up with concrete, then I put big steel and timber pieces and beams and stuff to sort of support everything. I put myself in hospital where I was digging the holes and sort of knocked a bit of my finger off and had to have a bit of plastic surgery on it. But that's the passion of this hobby. So
there is absolutely no liberty taken when you say you put your blood, sweat, and tears into
pretty much. Pretty much. So
and you haven't even got it wet yet.
No, that's right. So and it wouldn't be the first time I've been in hospital from renovations and fixing stuff. So
all part of the fun.
But it was a big effort underneath the floor.
Yes.
We kind of sort of set this up, I'm really big on future proofing. Right? Because I'm so indecisive. I want to have things so that I can, change them back to how I originally thought or whatever.
Yes.
So we sort of set this up so that if we did sell the house one day, we could take the tank away, easily put a wall or put something else in here that sort of hides it all and all that. So
and it'd be completely over-engineered on the floor.
100%. That part of the floor won't move.
Yeah, exactly. No, that makes sense. Were there any other considerations you had to make to the property when putting in something this large? I imagine you probably had electrical, plumbing requirements that obviously have to be taken into consideration.
So directly under the tank, by fortune more than anything, we've actually got the main sewer line for the property.
Perfect.
So when I'm letting waste out, I'll be setting it up so that it automatically feeds into the sewer. So that was a bonus.
Beautiful.
Some of the other considerations were mostly like the roof structure as well.
Yes.
So the hood, I've stolen, I guess, one of your ideas again with the upside down, what do you call it?
The sit-stand desk.
Yeah, the sit-stand desk.
Beautiful.
So I ended up buying that from someone local here actually, and sort of cut the roof apart as well and sort of attached it all to the trusses so it's all nice and strong.
That would have been fun getting up in the roof.
Yeah, it was, and it's quite tight up there. So I spent probably the good part of nearly 2 days up there just modifying things. And I had to do it in the middle of the summer.
It would have been a nice 50 or 60 degrees Celsius up in there.
Yeah, it was. So.
Beautiful. But just what you want to do when you're carrying around a 50 kilo chunk of steel.
Oh, yeah, it's so heavy, the sit-stand desk, as you know. Like just getting it up there was so much work. But,
unbelievable. The end result though of that light frame looks incredible though. I mean, you can barely even see these two feedings coming out of the ceiling there, and to have that so that you can raise that and lower it. You've got your Phillips coral cares mounted on there. Beautiful extruded aluminium frame, I guess you would call it, around that. Looks an absolute treat, and it's just being able to lift that up, get it out of the way so you can work and do things like your scape or mount corals or whatnot, and then put it back down to get the optimum height for the lights. Just next level stuff.
And it's the intricacies of lining everything up too that people don't appreciate. Like it's like I just had to move these cross beams a couple of times, just to line up with the sit stand desk arms, right?
Yes.
And like just shifting those arms is like 10 minutes because you've got to undo like 8 or 12 bolts just to shift it and slide it, and then you're at 5 millimeters off, and then you've got to shift them again. So, and then even attaching the coral cares, like I can show you a bit later, but like I had to fabricate brackets from aluminium flat bar. Yes. And it's like just the thinking that goes involved in that. Like I could have given up 100 times on this build, to be honest. But you just keep pushing through because you're looking forward to the end outcome. Of
course, and I mean, I will agree, it is definitely one of the shortcomings, I think, of the coral cares is for a big, heavy light, their mounting options are, I mean, at least they're universal, for lack of better words, in that they're just basically an eyelet on each corner, but adapting that up to whatever mechanism you're using can take a bit of thinking outside the box, as opposed to just buying, an Ecotech light frame mount off the shelf. But, as you say, it will pay dividends in the long run. And in the short run, I mean, it already looks incredible with those lights mounted up there. And having that flexibility to move them will be, definitely worth its weight in gold.
So there'll be cabinetry that wraps all this.
Yes.
And that is something I'm just exploring at the moment.
Yes.
But one thing I'm interested in people's views on more than anything is, like, I like the concept of a floating hood.
Yes.
Versus something that sort of overlaps the tank at the bottom, a bit like yours.
Sure, yes.
So I'm just tossing up that idea at the moment. It's just light glare. You're sitting on the couch. Is light glare going to be a problem when I'm lowering the lights down to their operational level?
For sure.
Or do I just seal it all? But then the thing that makes me a bit nervous about that is the
moisture,
the fans and moisture extraction in the roof, which is just another project that.
Just another one of the list.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm going for I'm thinking the lazy option at the moment, because at least it can all breathe by just having
it open. So that when you say floating canopy, what sort of size gap were you thinking?
Well, this was a point of discussion between myself and the missus. We originally thought about 150, and then we sort of landed on about 100 mil.
Okay.
You don't want to make it too small because it looks like a mistake then.
Exactly. That was going to be my feedback. I feel like if you're going to leave a sizable gap, so it's obvious, not just that you measured once and measured once, cut twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, I guess the good news is, being that you're looking to build this canopy yourself or still source it yet, you could potentially get both options. And if you change your mind, I know we were talking before about you like to keep your options open and future-proofing. You can always try one way or both. And you might even find, it might look funny, I don't know, but you could have the sealed canopy doors on this side and maybe open on the other side. And that way you're not getting the light spill here, but you're still letting the air flow through. I don't know. That might look terrible. But it might work too.
There are all sorts of ideas. So,
No, No, super intriguing. Now, tell us about the stand. So, well, before we go that, the tank, you had that built locally in Melbourne.
Yep.
Robert from Aquarium Professionals.
Yep, Aqua Professionals.
Aqua Professionals, yep. Custom build the tank.
Yep.
The frame, tell us about that.
Yeah, so the frame is from RM Aluminium. I think they're in Tullamarine.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Yeah, I saw that they were advertising online that they do this in terms of, the extruded aluminium frames. I went to them and had a chat to them about it. They thought it was a relatively straightforward task. They did the engineering around it. They determined the size of the frame that was needed. I know it looks a lot more chunky than what you sort of see on other projects and other projects, but I just wanted to be certain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I think my uprights might be the same size. I mean, this is maybe 90-90.
Yeah.
It's a solid size upright.
Yeah, they're pretty solid.
I went with the same thing. I think when people engineered my stand, they said we could go 45, I think, and it was going to cost me, I think the total was like about $70 more to go 90-90, and I said, let's go 90-90. I don't want to even question it in my mind. Just want to know it's strong. And I also love the chunky look. Too many times you see a cabinet or a frame, I should say, that looks undersized, and you just sort of look at it and you cringe a little bit. When you see a big chunky upright aluminium bits there, you know it's built to last.
Well, being sort of in this spot, and having kids, kids are going to be running around this thing.
Yep.
I mean, Dad'll be yelling at them to tell them to stay away from it, but you get a good solid hit on the side.
Of course.
The last thing you want is the tank.
You don't want it flexing.
Going over. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's over-engineered, but it's good. No, but they were really good. They assembled it for me as well.
Amazing.
I mean, and this is the customization part that a lot of people don't understand. Like just tapping the bottoms where the feet are. So they're, they're load rated adjustable feet.
Yes.
They tap the bottom for me. They put special custom plates on there and everything for me. Which is all really, really helpful. And,
absolutely.
Often that's where you can't do that stuff yourself. You've got to go to professionals and get them to do it for you.
Nothing wiser than a person that knows their limits.
100%.
We're all in this, particularly in this hobby, we are often jack of all trades, but at times you need to rely on the master of a particular trade. And I did the exact same thing with my stand. I was like, this stuff is kind of like adults Lego. And I could probably save a few $100s if I just ordered raw materials, put it together myself. But going to the professionals, getting them to engineer it, tell me what size I need, tell me the structure to build, how to put it together. It's worth it in the long run, absolutely.
I mean, even the cuts, just look at how many cuts there are on these pieces of aluminium. Like sitting there with an angle grinder trying forget it.
You'd still be pulling bits of aluminium out of your clothing and your hair and probably up your nose. So definitely let the professionals do that, definitely. No, it turned out great. Now, you've got a pretty cool looking floor going on in the cabinet there as well. What's the product or material used there?
Yeah, so that's just under advice again from Aqua Professional. That's just the board you buy from Bunnings that is used for formwork. Concrete. All I did is paint the edges to seal them. With obviously a black paint, but they are timber. But it's relatively sealed. Sealed pretty well. I did think about your option in terms of putting a boundary around it, and if it does leak and all that. But I just thought, no, you know what. I got to enjoy this tank sometimes. So. But that's what I went with, and I did all that myself. I cut it all myself, and
it turned out a treat.
Put it all up there.
Looks really good.
Yeah,
really good. Now, tell us about the sump. Plumbing equipment. I know you've been doing a bit of work on plumbing lately. I say work. You've been enjoying the challenge of plumbing.
Oh yeah, plumbing is just it's so hard because like we were saying, you draw it all on paper. You rethink how you're going to do it, and you end up changing your mind, and then you end up, I bought 2 45s, I needed 3. So then you got to, travel all the way back to Melbourne to get a 45, or just get it mailed here for $8. So that's just a hard decision. But I've been doing the plumbing probably in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's fair to say I've visited every aquarium store in Melbourne that supplies plumbing. Just to find everything I need, including Dave at Deer Park, Uni Hill, even Aquapet in Derrimut. I've been to Will out at New Life. Out at New Life. Yeah, so
making yourself a regular.
Yeah, I think I've got everything now. I mean, the next thing I need to do is the manifold. So, but that's not so urgent. The sump is again. I love the raceway design under a
Yes,
peninsula.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
You've got access
design.
to, you know, 3 sides. Well, actually, you've got access to all 4 sides, but we'll get to that in a minute. From this room, you've got access to 3 sides to the sump, and why not make it so that you can utilise all of that? There's no need to have, you know, just one section here where you can sort of barely reach the other side. You may as well make the water do a lap around there and give yourself as much room as possible.
Yeah, and I originally was going to have the sump sort of go all the way to the end of the cabinet, but then, Chris came in here, Chris, who's also a local,
Definitely.
Chris Eric, and he said, why don't you move it up? So that's the good thing about just involving others for a different perspective.
Always,
You know, and I'm like, oh, hang on, I think that's what Cade does. They have the sump down that end, and all the gear sort of sits over there. So, it was a good decision in the end.
Turned out well. So this was a sump that you had built by Rob?
Yeah, Rob built the sump for me.
Very nice.
If you have a close look at the dividers, what do you call those? Yeah, the overflows.
Yes.
Yeah, I ended up sort of working on those myself because it was just doing both of our heads in trying to make it work. You know, where do we put the pumps and all that? And I said, you know what, I'll do that. I'll get all the gear, I'll put it all in there, and I'll sort of set it all up
perfect.
around that. So,
gives you room to work. So with the raceway, you've got the overflow coming down into this big sort of chamber here. That's just going to be a bubble trap or just a catch. You're going to run equipment in there.
So this will probably be the controversial point,
tell me.
But I am thinking of going Triton method at this stage. So the first chamber would be the 10% refugium.
Excellent.
But again, you know, I wanted the option to sort of revert back to putting a roller mat in there.
Yeah, of course.
If I need to. So, but that's how I've set it up. So that'll follow the Triton method. It'll go into the next chamber, which is obviously the skimmer. That's Michael Newen's.
Yeah, nice. Very popular tank on this channel. He's a soft coral tank. I'll be sure to put a thumbnail or a link up here or something like that to his setup. That was a spectacular system. So good to see that his skimmer has found a new home.
Yeah, and you know what? I love the external pump. I mean, I've got room for it, but you know, the pump goes, you just change the pump. But
that's right.
Like a lot of internal skimmers, and I've been through a Royal Exclusive and all that. The pump goes, the whole skimmer's useless unless you can modify it. So that's kind of why I like that option.
And cleaning too. Like if you want to remove the pump, you just slide it out and you clean the pump. If you want to remove the skimmer, you don't have to worry about all the power cords and stuff. You just pop the pump out, lift the skimmer out, and off you go.
Pretty much.
It does make that. I mean, talk about future proofing. It's, to be honest, it's a job I can't imagine there's anyone on this planet that enjoys cleaning a skimmer. So you may as well make it as easy as you can, and you can't make it much easier than that.
One of the other considerations with this build, Sam, has been, you know, trying to do equipment on a budget, but also being careful in terms of what you buy sort of second hand. I've had my fair share like in that. I've bought skimmers and, you know, they're 6 months old, but the pump goes in 2 months and you're just really cursing. So you go and buy a brand new one. But, you know, you buy from a trusted source. Someone you know, generally they'll help you as well if there's an issue. But like even just little things like the bio ball, what do you call those?
The little holders.
Like I even got them off a fellow reefer that was closing down. I mean, it's good to see that they get reused rather than binned.
Absolutely.
Or sold to someone else. So,
exactly. No, that works well. And as you say, second-hand gear in this hobby is worth pennies on the dollar. So you can save an absolute fortune there. That being said, to an inexperienced reefer that's buying stuff almost blind, it can also be a huge trap. So
absolutely.
You got to do your due diligence and buy once, and hopefully that saves you some money and trouble. So from your skimmer, you then go through into a media section there.
Media section, which will hold the heaters as well. I got the Shagos. Shagos? That was
Shagos.
So I'll have 2 of them. I actually can't find where the other one is. I bought it, but I don't know where it is at the moment. So, so I'll be putting another one in there, and I've bought one of their controllers as well.
Nice.
That'll obviously monitor temperature for me.
Switch them on and off.
You can see these channels. I don't know if you want to have a close look at these channels.
Nice.
That's future proofing again. So you know, if the bubble trap doesn't work, I can always drop in like another piece of acrylic.
Absolutely,
or something. So that's again me being a little bit
Look, it's much easier to do that when it's dry.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
Once there's water in there, it's a fair nightmare to try and put these things in. You've got to have your sump offline for a couple of days while you're waiting for things to dry. So
yeah, pretty much.
you can put those channels in there. If you never use them, you never use them, but the option is always there.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
That's a good idea. And then you're coming through to a dual pump system here.
Yeah, dual pump. So there's 2 different pumps in there, obviously. The Mantis came from Nick.
Yep.
Yeah, great pump. I've got that on my other tank.
Yes.
It has served me really, really well.
They're great value.
Never had issues with them.
Yep.
I bought the Vectra L2. I've also got another one.
Yep.
So I'm tossing up. Do I just put both Vectras in there if they fit? I actually haven't checked if they fit yet, but the Mantis and the Vectra fit.
Yep.
So that's great. So I'm thinking, the Vectra will run the tank.
Yes.
And the Mantis will run the gear.
Run the accessories, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the part of the plumbing you got to go yet is the manifold, which just
Yep.
working out what your plans are there.
Yeah. I've got it all in a box, and I just got to work out how to put it all together. So,
Yeah, no trouble. Well, it looks like a well thought out sump.
Yep.
Stepping up here, we obviously when we go from frame, we've got some more of this form ply onto your polystyrene into the custom built box, and then tell us about this scape. This is pretty spectacular scape you put together. This is something you built yourself?
Yeah, it is. And the inspiration came from, I guess, Aquamarine Aquaristic.
Absolutely.
Their very first scape, I think, in their first tank. I just really love the branching. I love how the fish can hide in between it, and that's one of the important considerations is where the little fish can hide when they need a rest.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like the branch rock was just I just love it, and like I tried to make it like a bit of a bomby situation.
Yep.
Following the rule of thirds.
Yes.
Again, so that spot over there's, and that spot is kind of going to be the focal point.
Yep.
Obviously, but yeah, this is about probably 1.5 to 2 months of sitting in the back room, putting a piece on, gluing it, and saying, "Oh, no, I might change that." And then, I started Escape. I've got plenty of rocks spare, which people are welcome to as well. But I started Escape, and then I sort of changed my mind, and then ended up with this. So.
Well, you got to be pretty happy with how that's turned out.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it actually.
It's no easy feat to build a scape for a peninsula. To be honest, there's nowhere to hide. Where on your traditional tank, you've got a bit of an ugly section up against the back wall that you can't see. No one's the wiser. You afforded that luxury here, and to build something as looks as nice as it does without anything on it, yet has so much room for corals, great swim throughs, plenty of open sections on the base there to make sure you're not trapping detritus. Ticks all the boxes. It looks fantastic. So you've got to be pleased with that. And
another future-proofing aspect, Sam, like what sort of corals I want to look at. I do want to go sticks.
Yep.
But I do also realise that I might not want to do sticks forever.
Yep.
One of the things I always tell my other reefing mates is I just want a queen angel.
Yep.
I really want one.
Yes.
So that's going to affect coral choice, but I've always got the option that if I decide to not do corals, even though I've got coral cares up there, that I can just lash out on some angels and just have an angel.
For sure, that scape as it is with some big, beautiful, non-reef safe fish swimming around is going to look absolutely stunning. And I can say firsthand that the Phillips coral cares bring out the colour in the fish incredibly well. There's no question on that whatsoever. So. Whilst I probably wouldn't recommend people buy them for a fish-only system just due to the cost, if you do, you're going to enjoy them. The fish are going to look great, and it gives you options both ways, as you say. So, if you do try to go full reef and the Queen Angel decides not to work, that's where the priority is. The tank was built around a Queen Angel, then so be it. No, that'll look great. Now, I believe because this has been a renovation, and you've obviously not just dropped the tank in place and sort of said, let's make it work. You've been afforded a little bit of extra space to call aquarium territory. Can you take us through some of the details there and what the plans and layout is?
Yeah, so I guess I'm pretty fortunate in that, everyone would love a room next to their tank where they can, have maybe a sink.
Yes.
Wash stuff off, keep equipment, put all the ugly stuff and just shut the door in there.
For sure.
Yeah, so that was the idea of sort of this extra bit on the end of the wall.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've got myself an equipment room in there.
Beautiful.
I've started putting shelves in there as well.
Yeah, looking great.
Yeah, it's a little bit bare at the moment, but yeah, this is where all the equipment will sit.
It's where the magic will happen.
Yeah, I'm tossing up. Do I put a sink in here?
Yes.
Like a little mini sink. I am going to run an Apex, a Neptune Apex on this.
Yes.
So I'm basically hoping to attach all of that to the wall as well.
Yep, just be able to go in there and look at what's happening.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I've got a trapdoor just in case I need it. I was thinking of even putting the UV under the floor.
Yeah, right. So you've got this little latch there that you can lift up, and you can actually access underneath the tank. And yeah, incredible.
If I need it, I've got a manhole in the roof as well. If I do need to get to the
need to go up into the light frame or something.
Into the light frame. So yeah, I've sort of thought of everything. But it's good to have a manhole in the middle of the house anyway. So.
Well, this is true. It's better than if you need to get something right in the middle of the house, better than crawling from the outside edge.
Yeah, pretty much.
Although that being said, I guess it's big enough to get through there, but you definitely wouldn't want to have the arms out too far.
Yeah. The one in the roof's a lot smaller. I just fit, so provided I haven't had too many drinks, too many beers. So.
Always a good move. That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, as much as there is no shortage of infrastructure that goes in, or planning that goes into not just the flooring and the stand and the sump and the tank and the scapes, the lights, the filtration room, there's also a bit more that happens outside of this space.
Yep.
Things around mixing water or water storage, battery backup spaces. Can you take us through some of your plans and infrastructure you put in around, not around the tank?
Yeah, so I think the thing that was important for me was to have the ATO sort of away from the tank.
Okay.
Just for room more than anything.
It's just dead space if you've got 40 litres sitting just there taking up space.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate that we've got the garage not too far away, so it's literally a couple of metres, so I've sort of set myself up in there.
Perfect.
If I'm going to run Triton, obviously I won't necessarily need to do water changes, but I've sort of set myself up to have a mixing station if I need it, as well as RO.
Yes, always handy to be able to pull water out and put water in if you need to, and not have it be a uncharted territory. If you've got the facilities there,
that's right.
Touch wood, you'll never need it. And if you don't have it, you'll be dragging hoses and buckets through the house and getting everyone very upset with the reef tank quickly.
Which is what I do with that one over there. You can just see like the barrel with the RO next to it. It's just such a sore point with the missus. But it's all temporary at the moment. So, but all that'll be hidden.
Yes.
Which I'm happy to show you.
Yeah, sure. Take us through it.
Yep.
Go for it. So we're out in your garage.
Yep.
Whilst looking at the Triton method and most likely Triton without water changes, you've got yourself a pretty decent mixing station here.
Yep.
All set up, ready to go, and we're probably 3 or 4 metres from the tank at this point, so easy run to get, and you've probably got access to, considering that was the floor height there, you'll be able to get under the tank and get all the water lines to it and things like that.
Yeah, so I'll be able to run through the brick wall, be able to run pipes, RO lines and all that sort of stuff out to here.
Perfect.
But there's the RO system right there.
Nicely mounted.
Again, something else I bought sort of with budget in mind.
Yes.
I mean, it ended up being that I had to clean it up a bit, but I mean, RO systems are pretty straightforward. It's just filters.
Exactly, so, As long as the housing's there, you can pop whatever filters and membranes you need inside them. Yeah,
so I'll either fill them both with RO or one will be RO and then one will be for mixing. I haven't quite thought about the plumbing to do all that. That's I guess that's based on your RO, your RO.
Yep, one of the automations.
System, which you helped me sort of automate, and that's the original barrel from the original tank. With the float valves and everything on it.
So that's just a little bit of simple electronics that will turn the system on. You have a float valve at the bottom and a float valve at the top. Turns the system on when the water gets to the bottom float valve, and it stays on even when it goes past that bottom float valve, but turns off when it gets to the top. So effectively, it's not like an ATO that turns on, off, on, off, on, off. It lets it run all the way from the bottom to the top and then stays off until it gets all the way to the bottom again. Yeah,
it's a great idea. That's out under my old house for the old tank.
Yes.
Along with 2,000 litre IBCs.
Yeah, nice.
Which sort of automated and pumped pumped out and changed the salt water in my other tank.
Perfect, perfect.
Well,
Now, I believe there is one other thing that you're sort of standing in front of here.
Yep.
We are in regional Victoria, and occasionally, although we were mentioning off camera, it hasn't been too bad since you moved here, but occasionally there are power outages, which, you know, for a lot of people down this way, you know, they just go surfing, no big deal. But for those of us who have the reef inside the house, a power outage is a big deal.
Yeah.
You've gone above and beyond with your battery backup. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so basically the house when we bought it had solar on it, but it was a little bit, needed a bit of attention. So we basically put new solar panels on the roof as well as decided the battery backup for the house, I guess. Nice. A financially challenging decision. But, you know, it's fair to say it's not specifically for the reef tank, but it's definitely a big reason to put it in, I guess.
For sure.
So we're gonna use it anyway. It's upgradable as well if we need to go bigger.
Yep.
So yeah, hopefully it's one less thing to worry about.
For sure.
If we do have a power outage.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I mean, we say it's obviously not just for the reef tank, and obviously the reef tank will benefit if there is a power outage, the house keeps powering on. Yeah. But also on the flip side of that, I know if you don't have battery backup and there is a power outage and you rip out the generator or something and all of a sudden you're running cords just to the tank, it also tends to upset the other family members a little bit as well.
Which I do. So I've got a Gentrax generator out there.
Yep.
It's bloody noisy. I mean, luckily we don't have a lot of people close in terms of our neighbourhood, but it's just, it's noisy. But you've got to be here when it's...
You've got to be here, exactly.
Be here.
This, you can be at work, you can be on the other side of the planet, it doesn't matter. It's going to keep the tank running and you probably won't even notice. It'll just do its life. And it's a pretty decent sized battery you got there, so I think you should be covered for a little while. No, that's fantastic. So, tell me, with all of the work you've put into this system, you've obviously been working on this one for, you know, it hasn't just been a week or two, you've been going for a little while now. How long has this system been in development for, and what are the next steps, I guess, and what sort of time frame are we looking at to see some water in this tank?
So I mean, I've been renovating. I mean, since we moved in, within 6 months, you know, we decided to paint and do a whole bunch of things. So, so renovating's probably taken the priority.
Of course, we got to live.
but also in between that, sort of trying to do the reef tank as well, which is part of the reno because it's part of the furniture. But I've probably been on the tank now for probably easily 1.5 years to maybe 2 years. You know, from the original filling up the holes under the ground with concrete to sort of what you've got at the moment.
Perfect. I mean, it sounds like a long time, but in reality, I mean, you've been doing a major renovation at the same time, and you also then afford yourself the luxury of giving yourself time to think about these details and even changing things that, you know, you start building Escape and then you think about it and go, no, I actually don't want to go that path, I want to go this path. Where that's something that all of us, and myself not excluded, you know, you'd make your mind up on something, you go, yep, that's what we're doing, put it into place, and then a week later, you know, it's not reversible. You've moved on to the next step. So it's not a bad thing to give yourself plenty of time. But it does lead me to think, so what's your next plans, and how long until we see water in the tank, you think? So we're, in a few weeks' time, we are sort of heading overseas, so, you know, it's the decision about when do you put water in it. A lot of people are suggesting I should put water in it before I go, so that way I can cycle while I'm away. Which means I'll probably come home to a whole heap of algae on it. But I kind of haven't decided yet. But, you know, I'd hope to have fish in it sort of before Christmas. Nice.
This year.
That'd be nice.
Would be good,
Reward
I mean, I'm keen to close that tank down. Because, we're going to be pulling that wall out as part of the next stage of our renovations. So it's kind of getting in the way of us.
That puts the time pressure on a little bit.
It does.
If you want to pull that tank down, I'm assuming there's fish you want to transfer to this system.
There is.
So that definitely puts the time pressure on, but that should be good. So from here, you've got obviously the plumbing just to finish off with the manifold and stuff. Will you think you'll have cabinetry on it before water, or cabinetry come later?
I'd probably rather put the cabinetry on before the water. I'm in the process of that at the moment. I just got to make that decision really about the gap, and then I'll give it to my cabinet maker, and like he's already measured it all up and ready to go. So it's just that decision. That decision point, and you can pull the trigger. Can pull the trigger on that. And
I know plumbing wise, you're talking about finding a location for the UV.
Yeah.
one of the decision points to be made.
Yeah, so as you know, and as most people know, the 80-watt Pentair is a monster.
It is a monster.
Not as big as the 120, which I nearly went for, but I sort of thought, nah, 80 will have to do. So, like, I'm looking at a couple of options at the moment. You know, one of them was even mounting it under here.
Yes,
along that way, but I think it's actually too deep.
Yeah, it's a decent sized unit.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the benefits of the extruded aluminium is you can bolt things to it. You know, it's you're not screwing into timber or anything. You can, you know, Lego pieces in there and keep going. But it'd take up a chunk of space in there, I think. Yeah,
it's pretty big. And like one of the other options that I was thinking about was, and I probably should have relocated that door over a bit in the other in the other equipment room. I could have sort of put the Pentair just right up on the wall, right next to the tank.
Right, yep.
You know, very short distance. I thought about, and I am still thinking about, do I put it in the garage? I don't think that's too far away.
It's a slow flow, so it might not be that bad.
Yeah. And then the other option was, do I put it under the tank, under the floor?
Yes.
And then for that once a year, go down there with all the spiders, change out the globe, and
at least the spiders shouldn't breed if they're exposed to the UV down there.
Yeah, exactly. So they're a couple of decisions.
Yeah,
well, that's kind of the next decision point, because then I can do sort of a bit more plumbing.
For sure.
Pentair. Little things like the dosing line holders. I saw that on one of your other videos.
Beautiful.
So I contacted Adrian.
Yep. Adrian Yap, the 3D printing maestro.
Yeah, he sent it down and like have a look at it, how good it is.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah.
And I love how quickly he can visualize and come up with the plan. I'm not the best at vocalizing what I've got in my head. I can come up with something in my head and somehow he completely understands my gibberish, sends me back a drawing within minutes and goes something like this. And and then within a couple of days it's printed it in the mail. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it literally was. Like, I couldn't believe it. And like in terms of, you know, how much, wow.
He's a good man, that's for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that's the good thing about this hobby. There's a lot of good people in this hobby.
Definitely.
You know, so
it is such a challenging hobby that you know you can't do it alone. So we've all got each other's backs, and when you're taking on an ambitious project like this one, you definitely need the help of a reefing village, and it's good to see that it's working out for you.
Yep. MP40s.
Yes.
I just literally picked them up last week. I'll be running 4 of these. I mean, obviously, that's one of the unfortunate things with the peninsula, is having some wave makers sort of on this side. So I'm hoping to sort of mount a couple up this high.
Yep.
Run the wires sort of up along the top.
Yep.
So they're kind of out of view.
Yes.
But yeah, well.
That's what I was thinking before when you were saying about. One of the regrets was that you could have gone longer.
Yeah.
With peninsulas though, the flow, the longer you make that peninsula, the flow just gets more and more difficult. So, so your plan is to run 2 on this end and 2 up.
2 on that end. 2 on this end, 2 on that end. Yeah, pretty much. So run 4.
Yep, that should do the trick, particularly with a nice open scape like that. That should get through there nicely.
And I like the size of like I thought about MP60s, and but I understand that they're just a whole. Just a beast compared to the 40s as well.
It's
so,
a fair bit bigger.
Yeah.
And at least, mount it up high. Hopefully that'll get under, shoulders that are running around the corner and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
another benefit of the tall tank.
Yeah, spot on.
Excellent.
Yeah, also in terms of lighting, I'll see how the Philips Coral Care go. I know you and I have talked about some AI blades as well to give it that pop. I guess we'll just suck it and see. I was planning to probably mount them
long ways. Yep. You got the space there. You could run a blade down each side if you really needed to, but see how you go. You're definitely going to get plenty of light from the Coral Cares. I think they get a very unfair rap online, and I think there's possibly politics behind that as for how capable they are. 3 Coral Cares over this tank will be absolutely capable. If you want to add extra spectrum or extra lighting for different times of the day, you absolutely can, but they will get the job done, no problem at all.
Well, I mean, anybody that's owned all the other brands knows, you know, you do have to clean the fan out at times. And, you know, the beauty with that's what I loved about these things. I think you've said it, you know, the more mundane task you can sort of take out of the hobby, the more you can really, really enjoy it and you get more time.
We've all got so much time to work on our tank, and I would much rather spend time mounting corals or doing whatever than cleaning fans on lighting fixtures. So, you know, for those who enjoy cleaning fans, more power to you, but it's not for me. And with these things, you could literally hose them off if you wanted to. They are rated to it, so there's no stress there whatsoever.
Exactly. So,
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to show us where this build's at. I know I've been pestering you for a little while, and you've sort of been saying, yeah, Nelly, I'll do this next step, I'll do this next step, and I've been promising that people will really appreciate the attention to detail you've put into this build, and I think they'll really appreciate getting this early point of where the tank is right now, because obviously once you've got it wet and we've got some fish in there and some of those plans may have changed or may not have changed, we'll come back and we'll film it again, and we'll make sure that we get a good regular update on the system just to see how things are ticking along. So yeah, once again, thank you for making it possible. I really appreciate it, and yeah, can't wait to see where the tank goes.
No worries, Sam. Thanks for your time.
Nice. All right, guys, there you have it. That is Daniel's dream reef tank build. Now, in the intro, I did promise that there was also a little update from Lucas, and I would be remiss if I didn't add that now. So let's see what Lucas thinks of this beautiful build. All right, Lucas, can you tell us about how you're going to keep an eye on the tank and where it is in relation to your room?
So my room's right here, so then I have a good view of the tank.
Perfect. So you get the best view. You get to look straight through the peninsula over there, and you'll be able to sneak out in the middle of the night and make sure the fish aren't fighting and doing anything like that.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Anything else you want to tell us?
If I move my bed in the right way, I'll be able to watch it when I sleep.
Yeah, nice. Love it. Good work. All right, don't you love it when the whole family gets involved in the reef tank? I love seeing the enthusiasm from everyone, seeing this build come together, and I know with the amount of thought, work, and also a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears that Daniel has put into this tank, that it is going to be an absolute showstopper. Whether he goes for the full mixed reef or whether he goes fish only, time will tell in the future build, and I really look forward to sharing all of the progress with all of you right here on Parker's Reefs, which is a good little segue to say, if you're yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Hitting that button down there in the bottom corner will take 2 seconds of your time. It costs no money whatsoever. We are creeping towards 30,000 subscribers, which is incredibly humbling, but also really, really cool. And it goes to show just how many people we have following this channel all around the world, which I absolutely love. We do also have these names appearing on screen right now who are channel members and do chip in a couple of bucks each month, which goes a huge way to making these videos possible each and every week. So I do humbly appreciate the support you guys chip in. Thank you very much. Now, other than that, I don't have anything more for this week's video. If you do have any questions, comments, feedback, suggestions for Daniel and Lucas on their dream reef build, please feel free to pop it in the comment section down below. I do personally reply to each and every comment there, so it is the best way to get hold of me. Now, other than that, guys, I will wrap things up there. I do want to say I've got something super cool coming next week, so I look forward to sharing that with you then. Same time, same place. It'll be an awesome video, and I look forward to seeing you all here. Till then, guys, stay safe, keep reefing. Cheers, bye.